Argentina is a huge country in Latin America, but when you come here, you wouldn't say that Latin Americans live here. This is Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina and a city that closely resembles major European capitals. Madrid, Rome, or Paris. In fact, this is not surprising because more than 70% of Argentinians have European roots. Most of their ancestors were Italians, Spaniards, or English. In this regard, Argentinians are even more European than the residents of the USA. In general, Argentina has always been open to immigrants. And even now, when the crisis is raging, people continue to come here, many from the post-Soviet space. In this episode, I will fly to the opposite side of the earth from us to look into the eyes of the people who have moved here and find out why they are so happy.
Buenos Aires is just some kind of orgasm.
Well, come on, all right, to Argentina then.
Let's try to understand what Argentinians think, why they prefer to party rather than work, and how they feel about newcomers from CIS countries.
They will touch you everywhere, slightly grope you.
Then I will ask young mothers exactly why they came here to give birth, what it was like, and how much it cost.
It's about $20,000. Some even sell almost cars and apartments to fly and give birth in Argentina.
In addition, we'll find out why, during all the wars, people fled specifically to Argentina.
Argentina cannot participate in any wars. It is not prepared for wars.
We'll visit a mixed Russian-Argentinian family and hear the story of what it's like to live with an Argentinian. Finally, we'll also talk about safety, because just like that, they don't install electric fences and barbed wire on houses such as these.
Broken glass on the fence.
Everything is ready for the start of a great episode about a very hot country, so subscribe to my YouTube and Instagram. I'm Vova Karmanov everywhere, and let's go. Often in large cities, the port area is not a very pleasant and safe place, but not in Buenos Aires. Here, Puerto Madero is the coolest area with glass skyscrapers, good restaurants, and a yacht marina. It's because of one of them that all traffic was stopped here.
I was late for an interview because the bridges were raised. But at least I have a nice view, while everyone else is nervously waiting.
And all this for a small yacht? Half the city was blocked off. Here in the port, Julia lives and keeps her yacht. There she is, happily holding her Argentine citizenship, which she received an hour ago, right before our meeting. How long did you wait for citizenship?
It took 3.5 years for my court case, from the moment of application to the end.
Is all called a court case?
Here, citizenship is gained through court. That is, decisions are made, the judge and staff handle your case.
And what was the whole scheme about? What was basis?
I obtained citizenship through childbirth. 6 years ago, my children were born here. But we didn't apply for citizenship right away. We lived in Russia first. Back then, it wasn't urgent for anyone. And only in 2019 did I apply for citizenship.
Julia, having navigated the entire Argentine bureaucracy on her own, now helps other Russian-speaking immigrants, of whom there are many.
In the last year, there seems to have been some kind of surge, I feel, here.
Yes, it's so much happened that I wrote my guide and started giving consultations even before the war. So it wasn't related to the situation in Russia in any way. And then there was a very noticeable surge, of course, at the beginning of March and a second one at the end of September, beginning of October, when there were many requests for consultation. Now, of course, Buenos Aires is completely different. That is, before, if you heard Russian being spoken, you would think, oh my, where did you come from, person speaking Russian? And now here in the cafe, I was just sitting and the person next to me was Russian. At the sushi place last night, there were 4 Russian families. A lot of people have arrived.
In general, Buenos Aires translates to good winds, but I encountered some kind of bad wind and it immediately attacked my camera.
Are such winds common?
Yes, but it's still autumn, and the closer it gets to winter, the windier it gets.
What happens here winter?
In winter, Buenos Aires reaches a maximum of 0, or rather a minimum of 0 degrees, sometimes at night. Overall, there are many sunny days and it can be 15-20 degrees, so it's comfortable. You just need a coat and sneakers, that's enough.
And do people try to fly somewhere warmer in winter? And if so, where to?
We try, yes, to fly away. Turkey and Europe, everyone flies there.
To Europe after all?
Yes, here they do. But here, almost all Argentinians, as we talked about, are descendants of Spaniards and Italians. And accordingly, they can visit their relatives there or just go as tourists. So of course they travel to Europe.
Argentina is in the other hemisphere. So when it's spring for us, it's autumn here. And the leaves turn yellow. And to warm up, they go north, not south.
There is no sea here. It's the river, flows further into the ocean. It's brown because there's a lot of silt, but it's not the sea. You won't swim in it?
You have to fly somewhere, go away. And where do the locals fly to sunbathe?
They mostly fly out to the Caribbean, to the Dominican Republic. Those who have visas fly to Miami in the USA. They also fly to Brazil. The ocean is warmer.
And here comes the hospitality. 2 free glasses from the establishment.
Ah, the inventory. Do we want to drink a little aperitif? It's like...
Well, how about that? Well, they gave us.
Venturi. The shop.
I don't know how to convince me to drink. It just has to be free. No, actually, we didn't order, and he's like, how about this? People didn't order alcohol, let's bring it to them.
Yes, and a little aperitif is a must in the morning. Amazing. Well, let's toast to citizenship.
All right, to Argentina then.
This is Julia's favorite coffee shop, and on the screen is the price of my coffee. It looks scary because Argentinians denote their peso the same way as the US dollar, but actually you need to divide the price by 400. And here the barista is showing off his painted nails.
In this, by the way, cool coffee shop, I occasionally drink coffee, and now I constantly meet Russians there. There is one couple, 2 pairs of moms with babies.
Is it because the area is super Russian speaking or something?
Yes, we are in Puerto Madero, and it's probably the most expensive area, so there are a lot of Russians here. Now, I even have a family living in this building. She's Russian and he's Argentinian. He says, I don't live in Puerto Madero, I live in Russo Madero. A lot of Russians.
So he's already noticed that they've somehow flocked here, perhaps?
Of course, you constantly meet them in the store. There are a lot, everywhere, in all the cafes. Well, wealthy people have come, mostly. Different kinds of people have come, yes. But in this area, they're wealthy, meaning they always go to restaurants and meet every day.
And how much does it cost to rent a place in such a popular area for Russian speakers, perhaps, for example?
Well, on average now, probably $3,000. Here, I mean, starting from 2 for very small ones and more. So there are also ones for 6, for 7. So overall, if you compare it with the Emirates, it's not that expensive. Or with Moscow City. It's even cheaper to buy here now than in Moscow City in those towers apartments. But compared to other areas here, it's much more expensive.
If we take the most commonplace area in a typical sense, where most Argentinians live, how much is it there?
Look, you can rent a studio there for about $500, and here it's about $2,000. Approximately.
It's my first time in Argentina, and the view of Buenos Aires absolutely didn't match my previous impressions of it at all. Everything looks absolutely great here.
It's beautiful here. There are pieces of Italy, pieces of Spain. The city resembles Paris a bit in some places. But still, if you go further outside the city, it becomes more Latino and other peculiarities.
People who are going to Argentina, that's the first question. What about safety? What do they travel on there? Are there buses? They'll put you in jail? Yes. People have this idea that there are Indians running around with bows and arrows here.
Kyle came here from Ukraine a whole 23 years ago. You were just a young guy and went so far to Argentina?
Well, it wasn't my idea, it was my parents' idea. There was talk about a favorable climate, cheap food, no snow. So we went. One person went, said, everything's great, guys, come over, it's super, there's work, they pay money, the meat is tasty and cheap. In short, you can live here. And so, yes, so the first ones who went, I think, were mostly Ukrainians. Ukrainians were going at that time. Then later, yes, others started to join in. from neighboring countries like Russia, Belarus.
Moving at that time was much more difficult. No internet, no GPS, no bank cards.
It was a whole ordeal to call home, for example, to the grandmothers who stayed behind who didn't go. And to make a call, you had to buy a special card, dial one number, then another number. With this card, you had exactly 5 minutes to talk, and then the call would be disconnected. There was no internet access available at all. No phones, no smartphones. Now it's much easier.
Back then, in the distant 2000s, workers from the dissolved USSR were in high demand.
They would hire, meaning they saw Russians, they saw Ukrainians. The owner at the factory or plant, so when you came to get a job, he would give you some work. It was kind of prestigious to have, maybe bluntly put, a white person working for you. But there were moments when you were working in a factory doing some job, and the owner of the factory, yes, a private entrepreneur, would come with his friend, and he would come over, point and say, look, a Ukrainian is working. Pride.
Now Misha is involved in export and works part-time as a guide, but when he moved from Ukraine, he started like everyone else as a laborer.
My first job was just ridiculous. Some acquaintances came to me and asked, do you want to work? I do. $20 a day. Great. What do I have to do? Come tomorrow, I'll show you. They took me to a warehouse. He said, here's a box for you. There were caps like that. Brought from China. I don't know if it was smuggling or what. I just had to remove the label from each cap that said made in China, and I just sat there tearing off the labels. It's always harder for women to find work, right? But the first opportunity that women found who were coming at that time from Ukraine and Russia was, for example, selling coffee. Selling coffee on the street was quite profitable. It was a business. So here a person who carries coffee is called a cafetero. And in principle, they earned well because coffee sold well. Argentinians, in the morning, people drink coffee, and on top of that, a girl, a woman, with a pleasant Slavic appearance and a beautiful accent comes by.
And so Katya came up with a business for herself. She bakes cakes and delivers them to clients around the city.
At first it was only for Russian speakers. And sometimes there were some random Argentinians who ended up at our birthday parties. But then it got out of control. I can't finish knitting my sweater because I'm constantly baking now.
It's no surprise that Katya is the first person in the channel's history to show what's in her fridge herself. I also turned out to be the first in something. Everything is written in Russian. Are you only Russian speaking?
No, I have clients from 39 nationalities. And you will be the first person to try from Moldova.
Really?
For you.
Katya married an Argentine and has been living here for 4 years. This is her home with security, a party room, and a pool. And yet the apartment costs only $250 a month.
Now it's just a bit gloomy because no one uses it, but...
Because it's already cold?
Yes. In the fall, the pool isn't heated, but all summer it is. I'm usually here, but for some reason there's no one else here.
Katya is a former flight attendant, which is already clear from the doormat. From your past life, right?
It's from my past life, plus my husband is a glider pilot.
At the entrance, the Russian flag catches the eye and Katya immediately makes a correction.
It's not my patriotic stance, but indeed my blood.
Katya has had all the Argentine documents for a long time. This is what the ID of the local Italian hospital looks like, and this is the paid insurance. It looks like a bank card and costs $160 for 2 people per month. And here is the residence permit. In kitchen, guys have a global mix. This lavender was sent by the husband's aunt from Patagonia, and now it lies among the matryoshkas and the buckwheat.
Need buckwheat?
Why is it so scarce, perhaps?
We celebrated my birthday in the States, and my friends gave me buckwheat as part of the gift.
And sprouts.
Do you want some sprouts?
I'm going to the Baltic soon. I'll get plenty there.
But the Alenka fan here is not Katya. Her husband hung it up.
One of ours faded, so now we have another Alenka hanging. Right now I'm making kvass. I have kvass in the fridge.
Is he making kvass in Bass shoes or taking them off? Katya's spouse named Martin, and he can make kvass but also manages an entire gas station.
Russian culture. He's very, very interested in all of it. He wants it. He loves honey cake, pastilla, borscht, dumplings. Well, herring, it's kind of like that for him.
Doesn't care?
He adores buckwheat, yes, with a little vodka.
While you were dating, who paid in restaurants?
He paid. You know how it was with us? The very first time we met in Dubai, that's when he got stuck and we just went for a walk. He invited me to dinner, he paid. When I came here, I didn't have any local money, so it was all on him. Well, for the tickets, I had discount tickets, so I bought them myself at work. I bought him a ticket at first while we were dating, and he would reimburse me. Life with an Argentine. I recommend it.
Why? Give us the details.
Well, look, I'm a goddess.
No matter what you do, you're a goddess.
Yes,
The kitchen is a mess.
he'll just go and clean it. He can come and make dinner. So it's not like I have to wait for him with borscht.
But specifically an Argentine, how does that show?
Well, at first I had to explain the importance of giving flowers. My first March 8th in Argentina was, I flew in for a vacation and I wake up thinking there will be gifts now. There were no gifts. Well, no, like it's not really a holiday here. Here, you know, it's more of a holiday for feminists. Like they might organize topless marches in the city center. On March 8th we got married and those were my first flowers. And I even clarified, I said, will I have a bridal bouquet or not? No one is jealous of anyone. So like we are sitting at my place now almost without any questions. Respect for personal boundaries. Support continuous. So maybe it's just the characteristics of a great guy. Everything is easy, no problems at all. We have never argued.
How your family react to your husband being Argentine?
At first, they were shocked when they looked at the map of where we would live. But overall, they accepted it really well. The difficulty is that the language. My family hardly speaks English, my mom not at all, my dad knows a few words. Brother, 5 words. So it's really fun to watch their communication when, I don't know, they sometimes play word games in Russian, for example, with my family. It's very funny.
And his parents, how do they feel about you?
Love and adore me.
You sure?
Absolutely, yes.
Dear favorite mother-in-law, what is it?
You know, it's some kind of, I never even call her mother-in-law, it's just mother-in-law. I usually say husband's mom, husband's dad. Because for me personally, in my opinion, the word mother-in-law is somewhat of a strange and peculiar word, thanks to our rich and diverse folklore. And the same for me, it's my hija Russo, my Russian daughter.
In Argentina, I hardly knew anyone before arriving, but I hugged enough for years to come. That's just how it is here, hugging and kissing at every opportunity. Well, look, everyone. I meet here. I'm seeing all these people for the first time except for you in this city. But I have to hug everyone. Is this like an Argentine national pastime or what?
Yes, no, actually, well, you get used to it. You most certainly should embrace this mentality wholeheartedly.
That's the custom.
Yes, that's the custom. But it's not just about hugging. It's kind of constant. They'll touch you everywhere, pat you. They might, especially with children, they often ruffle their hair like that. And I had this story when I first met up with my friend, whom I had known for a long time in Europe, and we came here. Standard. We decided to meet, and his girlfriend, she kept touching me like this, here and there, as if checking something.
And you didn't understand that it's normal here?
Yeah, I told him, listen, your girlfriend seems to have a thing for me. I said, why do you think that? She keeps touching me like this. He said, no, it's normal here. Oh, don't worry. And after that, I started noticing that, yeah, then some of his other friends came over, and then friends of friends and girlfriends. And after everyone started hugging me like this, I was like, oh, well, okay then.
So you use this, right? You hug everyone who hugs you?
Yes, so on the contrary, if I see some girls there, I might hug them extra time, thinking, wow, cool.
And you don't feel any discomfort?
Yes, they might have given me a hard time in Russia for something like that. But here, no, everything's fine.
Nevertheless, building a relationship with an Argentine woman is not that easy.
They are super suspicious, they make contact, meaning they are open to communication. I'm not even talking about anything more than just communicating. Only those who have either been to Europe or at least interacted with foreigners in Mexico make contact. So girls who haven't left Argentina, first of all, they most likely don't know the language. But you mean English? Yes. And here, of course, you need to learn Spanish. But in any case, even if you know Spanish, local girls who haven't been anywhere are very reluctant to make contact.
Well, usually on the contrary. Such simple girls like foreigners. No! Is it different here?
It's definitely different. Why, you ask? Because if you go to Brazil, if you go to Colombia, they will absolutely look at you there. Voila. Okay, you're not as blonde as I am, but they'll look at blonde guys and be like, oh, come here. But not yet, but here. I recently met a girl, an Argentine, and she even told me that girls in general don't pay much attention to others, because we have our own guys. Yes, yes. They have absolutely no. They don't think anything bad about other nationalities, but they're somehow used to their own.
Alyosha has been in Argentina for 3 months and says that finding a single compatriot here is also not easy, as people usually move this far with their families. Katya worked as a flight attendant and met her husband right on the flight.
My first trip to Argentina was on a work flight. I met my future husband. He was my passenger.
He was a passenger.
Yes. I ran out of chicken for him, such a romantic chicken.
And did you argue?
He was indeed, on the contrary, an extremely kind passenger who helped me translate into English. I didn't know a word of Spanish back then. And he, on the contrary, helped me explain to other passengers what the situation was. In short, they didn't create any drama for me.
So there was a revolt because the chicken ran out?
Yes, passengers usually like to act that way. I found him on Facebook, we chatted a bit, I knew when he was returning. And it so happened that his flight was delayed. He got stuck in Dubai until the next flight. And I was supposed to fly to Paris, but I was taken off that flight. I was sent on a night turnaround flight to Pakistan. I got stuck in Dubai, though I wasn't supposed to be there. We met, and since then, we've been together.
For a year and a half, the guys lived across several countries.
He would come to me in Dubai, and I would sometimes go to Argentina to see him on weekends. And then back, we flew to Russia together. And sometimes he would join me on some of my work flights. For example, if I was flying to Singapore for a day, he would fly with me.
Well, completely different. The mentality here is completely different. And this, by the way, is strongly felt. Not when you come here from Russia, but the other way around. When you go from here to Russia, you immediately feel those closed, stern faces. Here, everyone is so amiable, as they say, so hospitable, friendly, and smiling. This doesn't mean they will be super close friends to you, but the first impression and initial attitude are very positive. In hospitals everywhere, they treat you amiably. And in government services. Just now I was there doing documents. There is no fear like we have when going to some immigration service, and it's immediately intimidating.
They will serve you long time with a smile.
Yes, it's great. I like it. I feel more like an Argentine already.
And what about friends or acquaintances, those who have truly become friends and really digging deeper than just first impressions? How are they different?
They say they are more childish, meaning I haven't noticed it much yet, but overall the generation of my peers, 30, 40 years old, yes, they are still stuck in childhood quite a bit. You can feel that a little. And they are ready to become parents later. That is, here they have their first children closer to 40.
Argentinians work, not very much, but they relax professionally.
Nightclubs here are called boliches, and I haven't been to any nightclubs here yet. Well, because I had children. Then somehow it wasn't the right time for that. Here, in general, nightclubs start very late. That is, in general, they have dinner very late. Start at 10, they begin eating, finish by 12, then have a pre-party bar until 1 in the morning. And only from 2 to 6 are the nightclubs.
And when do they work?
When?
Work? What? Argentinians, like Spaniards, have a siesta when everything closes during the day and people rest. It's like a quiet hour. In general, it's not customary to rush here, especially at the workplace.
They call it mañana. It's all later tomorrow, the day after tomorrow.
This is Alexander, and he organized a gathering for Russian speakers today. A small bar was packed brim. At the tables, there are mostly family couples because
Moving to Argentina is an Atlantic flight, a decisive step, and not everyone can take it. It's a kind of threshold that if a person overcomes, it means they will succeed at the very least. So not just for the weekend. No. Many come to give birth, but they also go back to Russia or wherever they came from. That's it. Now those who stayed, those who are at the event, are people who generally want to legalize themselves here, some through birth, some through other means, through their own circumstances. These are the people who want to establish themselves here, some kind of life, a small community, and we gradually help them with this, organizing meetings.
initially the guys just simply gathered for a picnic and helped each other adapt.
It all started with the guys who came here from Odessa in 2015. They, Russian-speaking, embraced this idea and began helping people.
The area where the gatherings take place is also one of the most expensive and safest in the city.
We are currently in the Palermo district. This area has been favored by Russians. Why? Here it's the most, comfortable, with many establishments, accessible. Well, everything is nearby. In general, other areas, Buenos Aires is not quite, let's say, suitable for living. My mom really definitely worries a lot.
Katya assures that with the start of the war, the attitude towards Russians hasn't changed much, but there have been conflicts.
There's ice cream, crema russo, crema americano, crema russo. And there were some news reports that in some province they banned this crema russo. They even put up a sign saying we don't sell it. Crema russo. But there's also Olivia here, I think.
Yes, well, great, I'm interested.
They have something like Olivier.
Salata russo, yeah. And what, was it banned too?
No, I was also wondering if they would remove it or something, but no. Roller coasters here are called Montagna Russo. Montagna means mountain. So they call roller coasters, Russian salad, Russian roller coasters.
They weren't banned?
All is still valid.
Argentina has always been tolerant of migrants and served as a refuge for many outcasts. Drug lords and Nazis fled here. Here's a video of the police finding a huge stash of German artifacts from the Hitler era. There are legends that even Hitler himself didn't shoot himself in the bunker, but lived for a long time in Argentina.
Where we were, in Villa General Belgrano, his home.
He visited here, right? Or how? Or he
lived as if he died there. But in reality, he was heading to Argentina. And in Argentina, if you go to that region, you'll see a German influence there. Because all the architecture, everything is German.
Many Nazis fled to Argentina, I've heard that. They believe that even Hitler survived and moved here.
Yes, and we saw his house. It's located in such a way that you won't see it unless you know. Now they've let it out.
Maybe I can...
Well, everyone there, grandmothers and grandfathers say it was him.
This is Anna. She came to Argentina from Ukraine in 2015.
The war with Donbass began, the dollar started to fluctuate. There was an understanding that the country had no immediate future. Argentina is a country of migrants, completely open to communication, open to new people, and it was the right choice.
Anna is actually married to a Ukrainian, but she met him here in Argentina.
And why did he come here?
For the same reason my husband came, because he was of conscription age and was worried that he would receive a draft notice and have to go to war. We still believe that the future is with Argentina because it has very large resources and because the country is far from any conflict. The country even calculated that if there were a nuclear explosion, God forbid, in Ukraine, it wouldn't reach Argentina.
But even without the nuclear threat, there are safety issues in Argentina.
This is an intercom. The most useless thing in Argentina?
Because there is no surname.
No. Because now you've arrived. You call my apartment and I still have to come down to let you in. Can't open it from the apartment outside. This is done as security reasons. As many seniors were robbed, they would open the door. Hello, I'm your grandson. Yes.
Next to Katya's house, there is a school for special children, and all the fences around are reinforced with iron spikes and an electric fence that is always live.
Broken glass on the fence, electric. These wires are already on another little house. And steel spikes, the whole set. Yes, yes, yes. 2 cameras. Cameras at the entrance too.
Where's the minefield?
Oh, no, nothing to me.
In Katya's neighborhood, almost every house has an electric fence. That is, it's electrified, but it's unclear whether it's on right now or not.
I am not entirely sure how to check, but to be honest, I think it's on every night.
What are they afraid of if the neighborhood is good?
They'll break in. Someone will probably come from another neighborhood, probably to Cosette. Yes, 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 and they'll break in. And they do break in.
And have you heard about such cases recently?
Well, just recently I happened to see on Instagram, regrettably, they broke into a guy's place. They can break into Russian speakers' homes.
It happens.
And robbing on the street, well?
The police patrol, right?
Yes. And they rob too.
They rob? What do you mean? One thing.
When they're in plain clothes, they can also...
So there's little trust, you know, right?
In all Latin American countries, there are many homeless people. Argentina is no exception, but still it seemed to me that there are fewer here than in Brazil or Colombia.
Here too, yes, there are homeless people. Since it's quite warm here, with a good climate, they can live on the street all year round. So they are not dangerous, they just sleep on the street.
They don't attack people?
No.
Is there something like Brazilian favelas here? Slums, what are they called here?
Yes, this is where the slums are called. These are poor areas, but there are different kinds of people there. There are hardworking female people who just live there and go to work, I don't know, as a cashier, at a local store. There are, indeed, drug addicts and petty thieves who go into the city just to steal an iPhone, carelessly left lying around for their fix. Here, when something like that happens, an armed robbery, it's a very big deal. Then they show it on TV for a week in the news that something like that happened. But mostly, of course, there are petty thieves who just see too much. Just like that, yes.
On a patch of mud.
He won't even run up, steal, and run away. He just, if you get distracted, leave and abandon it, then most likely it's already been spotted.
In some parts of Buenos Aires, there is a clear division between good and bad neighborhoods, and the border can just run along. Some street.
Highway 25th of May. It runs right here. Everything below is quite unsafe. So it's better not to walk here with an expensive phone. And here, in principle, in this whole area, here it's all kind of very quite safe. It's also kind of super safe, but it attracts people here because there's something to steal. That's it. So you also need to be vigilant here. That's it. And keep your head on a swivel more often.
Here we are now walking through a little neighborhood. I feel that it's safe. I'm not even worried about the camera.
I have 2 phones. The first phone is kind of more expensive. The second phone is a bit cheaper.
For general areas.
Yes. Well, because I have, for example, even a Russian SIM card here. I kind of have it here. On this phone, but I'm not worried because I know I won't lose it today because I'm walking in a decent neighborhood. I won't go into those areas after 11 unless necessary. I'd rather go back to the apartment, my own. I'll change the phone, the SIM card kind of, and take like the old phone. Because after 11, if you want to keep your phone with you, you know, forever, then You need to part with it for a while, at least after 11.
But there's a chance it might get snatched, right?
No. There's chance.
But either way, Alex certainly had more problems in Europe.
I arrived in Belgrade, supposedly one of the safest cities, actually, and within the first 2 weeks my phone was stolen. And here, I've been for 2 months, going on the 3rd month, and I haven't even had a hint of trouble. No one should come closer than 3 meters. That is, so you can have some maneuverability, some kind, because someone might just approach you like this with a knife and that's it. But, of course, that won't happen here. This is more likely in Gorodelia, probably. Actually, Buenos Aires is the safest city in Argentina. But I was with my friend in his hometown, and we go out with him, and he leaves the car running on the street. There are lots of people walking around. It's already evening. Lots of people walking around. He says, let's go. We needed to go to the pet store to buy something for his dog. He leaves the car running, and I'm like, really, just don't worry. No one will do anything here at all.
Bars on all the little shops and small cafes in the area. I went to the hair salon first, I call. Then they come to check if it's really me, and only then do they open. Now I'm used to it. Just have my bag hanging across my body with my phone. I don't walk around much where it's not necessary. You can walk with your hands in your pockets, holding your phone, and I know our girls. They were robbed like this, just someone reaching out. She has the phone in her hand and that's it, goodbye. Well, that's just messed up.
These partitions in taxis are there since COVID, but the taxi costs next to nothing.
He just turns on the meter, so everything will be fair here, right?
Yes, if he turned it on.
He turned it on, it's immediately 300 rubles.
That's the fare. 300 pesos, that's a little less than $1.
Do you need to buckle up in the back?
Told you, it's up to you.
Kati is charmed by her neighborhood, even from the car window.
Very tasty, very cheap. The variety is unreal. One of my favorite things is also to walk through the vegetable stalls and see this one has papaya mock, the next one has passion fruit, vegetables, fruits. This will be available to everyone.
On the streets of Buenos Aires, there's a mix of many things, but mostly European motifs. Here we walk, and on the sides the houses are either Spanish or English, and this one reminds me of the States.
Venezuela is just some kind of orgasm, not buildings. Just walk and film every house. Here is a super, mix of cultures. My husband is here, I said, descendants of Italians. The parents live here. This house used to belong to the English.
Here, activists are fighting to preserve the building. Apparently, it bothers someone, and this old building has been turned into a nursing home.
You can see the grandmother sitting.
Yes.
Here is a pedestrian crossing for the deaf. Agree, it's not what you expect from what seemed dangerous in Latin America. And here's another life hack from the local grandmothers.
It's to prevent dogs from peeing. I don't know exactly how the locals think this works, but they surround it like this. Sometimes they might place it near the house, and they believe the dog will pass by.
Have you seen a dog not pass by any chance?
No, it seems like the dog doesn't care.
I haven't seen a single sparrow in Argentina because sparrows are too gray for this country. Instead, there are parrots here, and even those that are considered exotic in our country.
Another reason why I love Argentina?
Football is also something many people love Argentina for. It is the current world champion in football. Everyone here is a fan. Yes, in the parks you can find people practicing fighting, but mostly they play football. The main legend is Maradona, and right now we are standing by his house. There was a street name.
Yes, but now it's Diego, and look here, Maradona and Dios. Number 10 was his number. And like Dios means God.
On the day they became champions, it was very noisy here.
In this house, he had an apartment. Unfortunately, I don't know which floor, but right here. And we came here when Argentina became world champion, and we came here to celebrate. The whole country simply took to the streets. I don't know if they showed it on the news where you are, but the whole country went out into the streets, was including us. And since we live nearby, it was super convenient to come here. It was just
packed fireworks, salutes, people, some with their own alcohol. There wasn't a place where people didn't gather.
And we came here to see what was happening.
What's up? Well, what's up? Listen, just so you understand, in Argentina, when football is on, everything stops. You go out into the streets and there's not a soul, not even a dog, nothing. Complete silence, as if it's a pandemic again. You know, at that moment I felt like an Argentine, because it was impossible not to be happy.
Argentina reminds many people of a European country, not only because of football, but also thanks to the endless waves of migration from Europe, especially during wars like now.
A lot of immigrants, starting from 1860, even 860, up to 1930. It is estimated that 6 million immigrants arrived in the country from Europe. Italians, Spaniards, Austrians, Germans, Poles. Well, all of this is related to World War I, World War II. Every third Argentine, I would say, has it all in the drawer next to their bed. A passport. A European one, from their grandfather. Always an Italian passport. It's kind of just in case. If something happens, if a crisis occurs here. When did a crisis happen here? In 2001, when Argentina declared default and people lost their savings, so they keep this passport. For example, Italy or Spain, if they still have some roots there. Well, in the hope that if something like that happens here, we'll be saved in Europe, right? I always tell my Argentine friends, you don't need anything more over there. In Europe?
Well, do the descendants of the English speak English?
In Argentina, they speak English much more than in Russia, but not necessarily the descendants of the English. For example, my husband's father speaks, he's 73 years old, and he has super great English. My mother doesn't speak, she's 61. The younger generation, yes, many here, even study like bilinguals, right?
In 2 languages. Katya also speaks English with her husband. I noticed that you communicate in English in the messenger. Although you seem to be fine in Spanish, you spoke to the taxi driver in Spanish.
Yes, that's exactly how I learned Spanish.
Taxi driver?
Cabbies.
You date cabbies?
No. When I moved, we consciously decided that we would keep English as the language between the two of us, so that we maintain our level of English. And now it's been almost 4 years that I've been living here, and our English is at the same level, plus I also speak Spanish. When we go to family reunions, it's only in Spanish there. His mother, for example, doesn't know a word of English. And so, whether I want to or not, I end up speaking.
Argentinians, they consider themselves truly European. That is, if you look, you wouldn't say they are truly Latin American. They are Europeans. That is, for example, like all my friends' friends, the Argentinian, many of them have second passports. For instance, my friend has a second Italian passport. You look, for example, at their surnames, like Bonesi, for instance. And that's an Italian surname. And there are many, many of them who actually get Italian citizenship. It's a bit costly. You need to pay some money, but it's done very easily and simply. So many of them also have Italian citizenship due to their ancestry.
Judging by the language, Argentina might seem like a second Spain. But if you take a closer look at an Argentinian, you're more likely to see an Italian rather than a Spaniard. We are sitting in an Italian restaurant, accordingly our food is Italian. But here, in Argentina, I realize that Argentinians have even more Italian roots than Spanish ones, although the language prevailed. Do you know why this happened?
Why? I can't say, I'm not much of a historian and so on, but the fact is that among my Argentinian friends who live here, the real roots of most of them are almost all. In Italy, for example, their grandparents or parents emigrated. At one time, this was generally a country of immigrants. Here everyone has someone who emigrated.
Millions of Italians came and integrated into the already established Spanish-speaking society, so the Italian language gradually faded away.
There are A few, some words that are used in colloquial speech, when, for example, here in Argentina. For instance, the Italian word lavorare. Lavorare means to work, and Argentinians successfully use it to this day. That is, in conversational slang, if people are talking among themselves, one might say, mi voy a lavorare. Lavorare means to work. But this remained, again, from those same Italians who came here.
Back then, that was the most powerful wave of Italians to the States. Is it the same wave?
The same wave, yes. Yes.
Some went to Argentina, some to US.
Yes. Spaniards and Italians, they are also called gachegos here.
There are many migrants in Argentina from Asian countries. Here we are walking through the Korean area. Mostly they work here rather than live.
This is the vibrant and welcoming Korean community. And all these little shops belong to them. This is already clothing. We'll reach a bustling street where there are many, many Korean restaurants filled with numerous authentic and delicious options. It's a pity we won't have time now, but you can have amazing, mouth-watering Korean barbecue there.
Is it made from dogs?
No.
So you're Korean. Do these Koreans already speak Spanish?
Yes. This is our generation. Many of them were born here. And they speak excellent Spanish. You wouldn't even realize he's Korean if you just heard him speaking. And when you go there, it doesn't add up. You see a Korean, but he speaks amazing Spanish, and your mind is blown. How is that possible? And those who are, let's say, older, they came here, and of course they learned the language here, but they still, remain in a very closed community. As a rule, they all marry among themselves.
When talking about food in Argentina, we will definitely do so not in a Korean, but in an Italian restaurant.
There are more Italian places than Spanish ones. I mean, in Spain, what do you have, paella? Here, it's much rarer to find paella than pasta, pizza, and so on. Absolutely. You have a Milanese. I thought you should try a standard dish loved by all Argentinians. It's a thin piece of breaded meat, but it's beef. And it is prepared differently, either baked in the oven or fried. And here it is deep fried. You'll try it. It's generally said to be an Italian dish, but in reality it's much more popular in Argentina than in Italy.
Singing chorus.
I've stopped cooking altogether here and I've become lazy. Right now I don't know. If I go back to Europe, I don't know how I'll manage there because I've always been a big fan of cooking something myself, especially my usual kind of food. But here, I've just stopped doing it because you can easily go to some little place and have breakfast for like €5. Or, for example, even if you want to cook something like some potatoes or something else, it's easier for you to go to these special buffets where you buy food by weight, serve yourself, and you calculate the cost of this ready-made food. Is it worth the hassle? Because in fact, you might even spend more money if you start cooking it yourself.
Plenty of boiled condensed milk. Argentinians love to add it to all desserts. It's called dulce de leche. Despite the accessible alcohol and rich wine traditions, Argentinians know their limits.
Super sweet. There are people who miss sour cream. You can find it on the highway when there's no ricotta. It's not cottage cheese, it's ricotta that you need. But now there are specialists who have come from there and are already making sour cream, ricotta, and even making dumplings. Despite the accessible alcohol and rich wine traditions, Argentinians know their limits. There is no alcoholism here. They don't drink, well, maybe a few might have whiskey or something else, but there's no such thing as drinking a glass of vodka. No, it's just like for us to agree in general.
And everywhere the wine is very tasty and it's very cheap. That is, in some places you even come and see that beer costs 1,300 pesos and wine costs 1,500 pesos. And you think, why not have some wine? Sometimes in certain situations, even high-quality wine will be much cheaper than high-quality beer. So sometimes it's better to drink wine here in this place.
In Argentina, everything is cheap, but earning money in the country is not so easy. However, by moving with your income, you can get European comfort at a fraction of the usual cost.
You can have a minimal online income in Russia, an average salary in Russia, but here you will be living quite comfortably.
But it's not always like that.
Argentina in general is not for working. My friend's employees earn 5,000 pesos a day. I really consider that to be peanuts. That's $10.
It's not enough for anything. What businesses do immigrants open here?
Restaurants, cafes. Right now, one of my acquaintances is opening a creative studio. Various ones. Yoga studios.
Are these mainly services for Russian speakers or for Argentinians as well?
Here, it's more for Argentinians. We understand that we need the money from Argentinians. There are a lot of Russians now, and I think it's a very cool immigration, because people didn't come here primarily for the purpose of earning money. They came here with money to invest in the country, and for Argentina, that's wonderful. These are smart people who came to build their lives within the country with their money, thoughts, and ideas. And I think that in a couple more years, there will be a lot of great services and cool businesses.
Well, okay, but isn't business being stifled here? Did all these people really come to start businesses?
There are under-the-table schemes that all Argentinians use to avoid paying all these taxes.
They just threw a chocolate bar into the milk, and is that their hot chocolate?
Yes, apparently. Haven't you tried it yet? I think it's definitely milk. Just regular milk, but with chocolate.
And does it melt? Is it specially made to melt?
No, it's gone.
As I said before, Argentinians are professionals at relaxing. Locals call Buenos Aires Baires, and in the evenings they might just close off a street and party there until morning. That's where I left Lyosha. I'm sure he'll be fine because he's with his Argentinian friends here. This trip through Latin America has completely changed my view of our planet. And in this video, I can't convey all these impressions to you. I've shared a lot in the highlights on my Instagram. Don't forget to subscribe to it. There, I am Vova Karmanov. Argentinians are very tolerant and free-spirited people. They love life and try not to sweat the small stuff. Love for the church and respect for the Pope in no way contradict a normal attitude towards various minorities here.
With the onset of the war, a stream of pregnant women from Russia poured into Argentina. At some point, the Argentinians even detained a plane suspiciously filled with expectant mothers. All these scandals that reach us in the headlines of popular publications, that everyone stopped letting Russians in, halted the plane with pregnant Russians, dispersed everyone. All of this, I suspect, is not true. Tell us how it really was.
Yes, the headlines certainly exaggerate. It was written that everyone's residence permits are being revoked, but people are still being let in. The only thing now is that they have stopped extending tourist stays. This wasn't the case before. They used to allow Russians for 90 days. Then, within a year, they started adding another 90 days. Now they've stopped giving that. That is true. Everything else is functioning as it was.
So, the Argentinians initially added some kind of bonus for Russians over the past year, and then they took it away.
Yes, I think they realized that there are already too many here. We really have a lot now. And that they can't handle it. The translators here can't handle it. Here, look, both residency and citizenship are completely free processes. So each person can do it themselves. But then they saw headlines on Russian language websites saying that it costs $3,000, $6,000, $10,000. And it was unclear to them why people are paying this money. And they thought there might be some kind of corrupt element involved. Suddenly, maybe these women are coming and selling the right to give birth to a child and so on.
So they suspect that someone might be trying to buy all this without even giving birth.
Well, for example, a pregnant woman arrives without a father, and they register some random man, and he gets the right to citizenship.
How do they? Do they give citizenship to everyone who has a child here, both to the child and the parents?
The child automatically receives it by right of soil. That is, a child born here is a citizen of Argentina. His parents have the right to obtain citizenship. That is, they have to go through the procedure. It lasts about 2-3 years. I have twins. Yes, I had 2 Argentinians born at once, so they should have given me citizenship twice as fast.
You have Argentines in your family as non-Argentinians.
Now more. Now, it turns out I am already an Argentinian too. He has already stayed. But he has a little bit left until citizenship.
Are you somehow out of sync?
Here it turns out each spouse goes to a separate judge. And each case proceeds to its own, at its own pace. Accordingly, his will be ready soon too, but not yet.
How expensive is it for people from Russia or Ukraine to come here, give birth, and get all the documents?
Everything.
Well, not all citizenships for the child.
For the child, it's quick. It's 3 weeks after birth. Everything is done in a full set of documents. There are no problems now to make a child. Documents. As for the cost, if we are talking about the services of an assistant, translator, company, and apartment rental and hospital payment and doctor payment, it's about $20,000. In Mexico, giving birth is much more expensive. In Chile, it's much more expensive. And plus, it's not so easy to get documents, so here are still the best conditions. In my opinion, a lot of people are flying to give birth. And I see that some even sell almost cars and apartments. In order to fly and give birth in Argentina, a lot of people. In February, I attended 16 births personally. That's a lot.
Argentina welcomes any migrants and provides documents not only to those who come to give birth.
It's preferable to show that you have income within Argentina that you pay here. Taxes. They are quite low, allowing a small monotributo, similar to a Russian individual entrepreneur or self-employment. All else. A certificate of no criminal record is required, showing no convictions in Russia or any province. Interpol must confirm this. Overall, no other requirements for parents.
At the same time, you can keep your citizenship.
I have a good attitude towards Russia. I don't rule out that I might return there someday. But if you wish, you can remain only an Argentine. By the way, you cannot renounce Argentine citizenship.
So never at all. As an Argentine, you can travel to Europe, the European Union, without a visa.
Yes, Argentines can enter the European Union without a visa. And what else? England too, the United Kingdom, Japan, New Zealand.
Not states.
Not to the States, but Argentines are granted 10-year visas to the States.
They issue them easily.
Well, easily, but the queues are long now.
Okay, you're a citizen of an unstable country, but you can move to a more stable one. Will you still feel drawn back somehow? Does this citizenship pull you down?
No, no. Here, Argentines are not obligated to pay taxes on what they earn in other countries. In the USA, they have that. Why didn't we go to give birth in the USA? Why didn't we go, right? Because there, we would be obligated to pay taxes on all income, no matter where we worked in the world. There's a nuance there. There is nothing like that here, and in principle, I don't see it. Downside.
So when you got married, did you immediately get citizenship? Or how does it work?
I didn't apply for citizenship at all. I'm one of those Russians who didn't get an Argentine passport.
Why?
But I have a different plan. My husband is Argentine Italian, so out of the 2 passports, I chose to get the Italian one.
Is it either or there?
As far as I know, I think Russians can have 2 passports. Maybe I'm wrong.
You can have 3, so Italian and Argentine.
It's a hassle to deal with matters in 2 countries. There's not much difference between them. But with the Italian one, it's easier, for example, to get a visa to the States. You need to be married for 3 years. Learn the language. Pass the exam. So that's already behind me. I've already passed.
So you've almost got your Italian passport?
Now I'm stuck. There's still some paperwork to sort out, to apply for everything. But for now, I've put it aside. And for now, I'm only with my Russian passport, which is better to hide these days.
Yulia's children, born in Argentina, are already 6 years old.
They don't go to school yet. We consider kindergarten optional.
So they don't go anywhere?
No, they do go. There was a period when they went to kindergarten a bit, attended a children's camp. They picked up Spanish, they speak Spanish. But overall, they are currently homeschooled.
Have they been to Russia?
They were very little. They have the impression that it's great there for some reason. They were there until they were 2 years old. But they always have this desire, like, let's go to Russia, let's take a boat to Moscow. That's what they tell me.
They do not remember.
I think they don't remember. I only remember how difficult it was to dress 2 kids in winter before going outside. No, I don't need that anymore.
Who are your friends, families? Who do you communicate with? Are they Russian-speaking people or not?
At first, yes, they were only Russian-speaking migrants. And then, when the kids started walking, they went to kindergarten a little, we began to get acquainted with the parents of their classmates. And so we gradually formed a small Argentine circle of these parents whose children are the same age as ours. And thanks to these friends, the Argentinians, I learned Spanish. It improved, because I needed to communicate with them, and now I speak quite well. Here, school is mandatory for 6 years, so my children, next year, when they turn 6, which will be soon, they have to start school. Here it is divided into 2 stages, primaria and secundaria, 6 years in one, 6 years in the other. In total, you study for 12 years. The attitude towards studying here is very relaxed at first, meaning children are not forced to do homework right away in the 1st grade. The teachers try to make it so that children enjoy learning and are happy to go to school. I really like this approach. And then, when the child grows up and becomes more aware, they are already focused on achieving results. If they want to study, they achieve good results. That's why the school is considered weaker than in Russia, for example, or in CIS countries. But the universities are considered quite strong.
The children accordingly will go and study in Spanish. And if there's a strong desire, is there either a kindergarten in Russian or a Russian-speaking college, school, anything?
Not yet. There is one, it's a school, at the embassy. But it's hard to get in, mostly children of diplomats go there. Sometimes, if there are spots available, other people who want a Russian school can get in. But that's accordingly to study, directly according to the Russian semesters, and here it's different in autumn and winter, it's difficult for the child. A lot of immigrants have arrived now, and it seems they want to open a Russian school, but it's difficult. It's difficult to get a license to open a kindergarten or school. I hope they succeed. Maybe someone needs it. But I, for example, wouldn't send mine to a Russian school. Let them learn Spanish and English.
In private schools here, it's not expensive, and often the education is conducted in 2 languages, Spanish and English. And what are the prices for schools?
Well, it's not expensive. Maybe it costs $300, $400 a month. School. So, primary, yes, that is the first elementary school.
That's private, and is the public one free, perhaps?
The public one is free, accessible to everyone. So even a tourist with a passport, with a foreign passport, can go to a free school. It's a bit harder to get into because the free ones are also divided into good and bad. You need to register there through an electronic registration system, but many immigrants who arrived this year managed to enroll their children in both schools and free kindergartens.
Speaking of the downsides of Argentina, everyone mentions the slowness and poor service. But on the other hand, this opens up business niches for active migrants.
Services in Argentina are lacking. Here it is necessary to implement the kind of service that exists in Russia. And if people were engaged in this, okay, it needs to be promoted here.
For the Russian mind, it's very difficult to adjust to the fact that things are postponed to tomorrow or delayed. You arrive somewhere and the waiter talks to you as if you're some kind of buddy, you know, compare it to some manicure. Come on, you arrive, they offer you some tea, something like that. Here you come. I don't even go, but our girls here are doing well. With manicures, they're just super duper. If you come, you think, damn, did they even sterilize the tools or not? And it's all just mediocre. So you need to get used to it, accept it, and now I don't care anymore. That is, I've already gotten used to it.
But very often the positives outweigh the negatives. Lesha not only stopped cooking for himself here, he also, Guido, doesn't wash his clothes anymore.
I stopped washing my clothes myself. Because instead of washing clothes yourself, you just take a huge bag, you take it to the laundry, and for just €3, this huge big bag, 5 to 7 kilograms, they will absolutely wash everything for you. Iron it incredibly well. It will smell pleasantly fresh and clean without any single trace of dirt or stains, nothing at all, absolutely nothing. You think, why should I bother with this? Well, first of all, there are no washing machines, nowhere, in the apartments you rent, but it's very rare. And secondly, why bother if they will iron and dry everything for you there?
Currently, my favorite city on earth is Buenos Aires. Despite all the flaws here, I love both Argentina and Buenos Aires.
And what was your favorite city then? Laughter?
That's a difficult question. I love Dubai too, but I always knew I wouldn't stay there to live. I always understood that it was a kind of transit point for me, a stopover. But when I came here, I experienced a super sharp contrast, in both a good and a bad way. Because on one hand, Dubai is a desert, and here, look, there's just a fence. It's all nature here, something is blooming 365 days a year. Dubai is all new buildings, and here, look, there are these kinds of houses, each more beautiful than the last. Although I love skyscrapers too, but on the other hand, Dubai is super comfortable with superb service. You go to the restroom in Dubai Mall and there are fresh flowers and a cleaning lady with a tie in the restroom. It's like you've been on a tour. Yes, here you come and there's never any soap, no napkins, nothing.
This was an episode about those who weren't afraid of the scary stories about Latin America, decided to move, and didn't regret it. Now, for them, Argentina is not something that sounds like Antarctica, but a new home, and a very comfortable one when you know how to live in it. There will be another episode about Argentina on my channel and a whole series of stories about Latin America, so subscribe to my YouTube and Instagram. Everywhere I am Vova Karmanov. Bye.